So you hear the term AI everywhere, right? But what does it actually mean for us today? We've gone from these simple chatbots like ChatGPT to something way more powerful. In this explainer, we're going to break down that whole evolution. We'll start with the tools you already know and build our way up to the autonomous agents that are seriously starting to change the game. Let's dive in.
Look, we all know AI can write a pretty good email, but can it really think for itself? Can it plan things out and then act on its own? That's the million-dollar question we're going to dig into. We're going to follow a simple three-level path, starting with what's familiar and ending up right at the cutting edge. All right, let's kick things off at level 1. This is the AI you're probably already using. It's the tech behind tools that so many of us use every day, like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and Claude. Now, at the very heart of all these chatbots is something called a large language model, or an LLM. The easiest way to think about it is like a super intelligent engine that's been trained on a gigantic library of text from all over the internet. Its main job is actually very specific, to generate and edit text based on everything it's learned.
The way we interact with it is super simple. A human, that's you, provides an input. We call that a prompt. The LLM takes that prompt, thinks for a second, and then spits out a text response. It's a pretty straightforward back-and-forth conversation.
Let's use a real-world example we've all probably tried. You ask it to do something like, hey, draft a polite email asking for a coffee chat. This is the perfect kind of job for a standard LLM.
And yeah, the result is often shockingly good. Like this user, Jeff Sue, said, the email it wrote is way more polite than I would ever be in real life. So far, so good, right? But, and this is a big but, this is also where we hit our first wall.
Okay, so what if you ask it a totally logical follow-up question, like, when is my next coffee chat? I mean, that makes sense to ask, right? But this question requires information that's outside of the LLM's brain. It's your personal info.
And that's the wall. The LLM just can't do it. It flat out tells you it doesn't have access to your personal calendar. This moment right here perfectly shows the limits of a standalone LLM. So this really boils down to two key weaknesses of a basic LLM. First, its knowledge is stuck in the past. It has no access to your private data or what's happening right now. And second, it's totally passive. It just sits there and waits for you to tell it what to do. It never takes the first step. Now remember these two limitations because they're going to be super important for what comes next. So how do we fix those problems? Well, that brings us to level 2. This is where we start giving the AI some tools to use and maybe more importantly, a set of rules to follow. Remember that calendar problem we had? With something called a workflow, a human can basically give the AI a little cheat sheet beforehand. Like, hey, if you get a question about a personal event, your first move is to check the user's Google Calendar. So now, when you ask about that coffee chat, the LLM follows the rule, checks the calendar, and boom, it gives you the right answer. Problem solved, right? Well, not quite. Here's the catch. What if you ask another logical question? What will the weather be like that day? The whole workflow just breaks. And why? Because it's like a train on a single track. We only told it how to get to the calendar station, we never gave it a map to the weather station. It can only follow the one path we gave it.
And that really gets to the heart of what an AI workflow is. It's a process where the LLM is just one part of the machine, an engine that's following a very rigid, pre-programmed path. The human is still pulling all the strings, setting up every single step in advance. The human is still the decision maker.
Now, you might hear a super fancy term for this in the wild called RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. Don't let the jargon scare you. In simple terms, RAG is just a specific kind of workflow. It's just the technical name for letting an AI look something up, like in your calendar or a company document, before it gives you an answer.
All right, this brings us to level 3, and folks, this is where things get really, really interesting. We're talking about AI agents, and this isn't just a small step up, it's a huge shift in how AI works. This is the leap to true autonomy.
So what is the crucial difference here? If you remember just one thing from this entire explainer, make it this. It all comes down to one simple question. Who is the decision maker? In a workflow, it's the human. But with an AI agent, the decision maker is the LLM itself. This changes everything.
This massive shift gives the agent two new superpowers. First, it can reason. Instead of just following a script, it can look at a goal and actually think about the best strategy to achieve it. And second, it can act. It can independently pick the right tools for the job, whether that's a calendar, a web search, or a database, and then use them to get it done.
You'll hear people in the know call this the React framework. And honestly, it's just a clever name for the two things we just talked about. The agent reasons about the task, and then it acts to complete it. React. See? Simple when you break it down.
But here's the agent's real superpower. It can fix its own mistakes. Remember how with a workflow, a human has to go back and tweak the path if it doesn't work? Well, an AI agent can do that itself. It can try something, look at the result, critique its own work, and then try again, all on its own, over and over, until the mission is accomplished. Okay, let me give you a real-world example to make this click. Imagine you've got hours and hours of video, and you need to find every single clip that has a skier in it. Instead of a person watching everything, an AI agent can reason about what a skier is, person, skis, snow, going fast. Then it can act by scanning all that footage, finding the right clips, and showing them to you. No human tagging needed. The agent handles the whole goal by itself.
Okay, that was a lot, I know, so let's pull it all together and do a quick side-by-side comparison to make sure it all sticks.
So let's break it down. At level 1, you've got the basic LLM. Its main skill, generating text, like writing an email. Then you move to level 2, the AI workflow. Here, the human is the decision maker, and the AI's job is just to follow a path, like checking your calendar. But then, at level 3, the AI agent, that's the game changer. The LLM itself becomes the decision maker, and its key capability isn't just following a path, it's achieving a goal, like planning an entire project from start to finish. This evolution, this jump from simply following instructions to autonomously achieving goals, it is one of the biggest things happening in technology right now. And it leaves us with this huge, profound question to think about. Now that AI can reason and act for itself, what complex, world-changing goals are we going to give it next?
Hey, if this explainer helped clear things up for you, be sure to subscribe for more breakdowns on AI, business, and the future of technology. Thanks for tuning in.